So Lawrence, you've launched Import-Export TV in January, but your content started being published in August last year. Can you explain to me, how did the journey begin and where did it all come about?
Sure. Well, I think it was actually quite coincidental that it happened during COVID when people couldn't travel, there was no exhibitions. We had started planning to create Import-Export TV, the show. It actually expanded because we thought there's so many subcategories or different sectors of countries and industry sectors of supply chain. It was too much for one show. So then we thought, there's enough content, information, opportunities to showcase things across multiple countries and categories. So we started to come up with the idea of streaming platforms like Netflix and all these type of things that are growing rapidly around the world. Just like every other consumer, importers, exporters and supply chain providers want product on demand. They want to be able to stay up to date, but they haven't got the time to sit there and watch a certain channel at a certain date or time. So we've created an on-demand streaming platform.
So what exactly is unique about you guys? Can you explain?
Sure. Well, I think as Import-Export TV, we've gone about trying to break it up into really simple three categories: countries or markets, industry sectors, so it could be technology, transport, logistics, warehousing, women in trade, a whole range of different sectors. And then there's a specials category where we might work with trade bodies or industry associations to give them a digital platform to showcase some of their initiatives or programs. So we're working with media partnerships, B2B trade missions, and especially since COVID, without travel or events, as we all know, you had to do things virtually or online.
And exactly, especially during COVID, it's very courageous of you to launch throughout COVID. Why did you decide to do it then?
We pretty much, the old saying, burned the boats. We started anyway. In some ways, we were lucky that no one could do the events, so they were forced to look at the channel. In other ways, it was challenging because people were really unable to come into studio. We had, from a commercial point of view, people were really much locked into not being able to spend money on marketing and budgets and so forth. So there was pros and cons, but overall, it was really well received, not just here domestically in Australia, but globally around the world. We've got so many expressions of interest, so many companies and countries who want to partner with us and say, look, we love what you're doing with Import-Export TV, how do we get part of it?
And Lawrence, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background? Where did the interest for TV come from?
There was no specific interest in TV as such. I've always loved international trade, supply chain, logistics. I fell into it, as most of us have, just out of university, doing computer programming, setting up some freight forwarder networks, and then fell into trade and working with different cultures, different countries, different products. And one of the really great things about international trade and logistics is that it's typically very different every day of the week. So you're never dealing with one product, one sector, one problem any day. It's always different. So I've always loved that, and I've worked for big multinationals. I've had my own freight forwarding company. I've been a consultant in supply chain for over a decade. So I've been on both sides of the fence when it comes to trade and supply chain logistics. And I've had the benefit of working with a number of global industry bodies and industry associations and committees and volunteer roles as well.
So lots of experience, obviously. And how would you say the sector has changed over the last couple of years, and what is your outlook going forward over the next 5 years, say?
Sure. Look, it's changed dramatically. I've been in the sector for over 20 years. I think it's really evolved from just moving stuff around to predictive analytics, data. There's a whole range of AI technology that the future is so exciting, and it will never go backwards. So when you integrate technology and opportunities with supply chain, then the way that the world has become so close when it comes to, you can buy a product online from your smartphone right now and you can have it in a few days. So yes, there's always supply chain challenges, but the demand of the consumer is always getting tougher and tougher. The challenge for supply chain service providers, exporters, importers to meet those demands, it's not going away. It's actually getting tougher, more interesting, and I think the demand for rapid solutions, innovative solutions, are what drives the way that things have changed so quickly.
So how do you think IETV will actually help those operators and freight forwarders and who not out there?
Well, I think IETV is designed to provide on-demand, latest information. It's a news service, but it's an entertainment service and education service. So if you want to know what's going on in a certain country or market, you can tap into IETV on the smartphone app, check out, okay, let's watch the latest episode out of India, Malaysia, Thailand, and see what's going on. There might be some trade and investment opportunities. If you want to see what the latest innovations are with robotics and warehouse innovation, or transport, distribution, e-commerce, last mile fulfillment, you can watch all those things on your smartphone, whether you're on the bus, whether you're at home having a glass of wine, or you can stay up to date anytime, anywhere. And that's what we were excited about, because as I said before, it changes so rapidly. Stuff that was relevant 12 months ago, and we look at COVID as an example, 6 months ago, even a few months ago, has rapidly changed. You've got free trade agreements, you've got border tariffs, you've got embargoes, sanctions, a whole range of disruptions like the Suez Canal we've just experienced last month.
What's the feedback been so far, would you say?
It's incredible. I think so many people have embraced import-export TV as a go-to resource. So they see that this is a new way of staying up to date, and it's a convenient way, and it's a fun way as well. I mean, you get to meet the personalities behind those brands, behind the companies, and you get to meet companies who are operating not just here in Australia, but all across the world. And yeah, they see the similarities, they see the challenges that you can have in different markets.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ruza.